And then my last one has to be...
Monkeys? Amazing. Thanks for taking your time, Andy, to sit here with me today. I'm just going to do a quick introduction about who I am so everybody knows on air. But my name is An, the country manager for EF Vietnam. And today with me, I have...
Today you've got Andy, so I'm the school director for EF Singapore. I've been here for just over a year and a half, and it is now my most favorite place in the world.
And I just want to kind of hear, like, why do you love this place? And why do you think our students should come here? What are the things that you discovered throughout kind of settling into Singapore? What surprised you? What didn't surprise you? Etc. Right? So I think to kick off, right, it's just, why do you think Singapore is such a amazing and cool place for our students? And why should it be a destination that they should visit?
So for me, Singapore ticks loads of different boxes. It's a really cool place because it's a world-renowned destination. So we have top attractions here, like Universal Studios and Sentosa Island and things like that. And it's super cool because it's a country, it's a city. It's not too big, it's not too small, easy to get around. And you can have a taste of the city. You can have a taste of the rainforest and then the nature and the greenery of Singapore, and then you can cool off in all the swimming pools and the beaches and things like that. And then to top it all off, for me, a big reason why I moved my whole family here is because it's so safe. So I love being in such a safe place with so many fun things to do. So Singapore, every day, keeps surprising me.
So you mentioned you have kids yourself, right? So I have two questions there. So how old are your kids? And how does that relate to also the students that we have at our school and kind of the similarities here?
Good question. So my kids are a bit younger than our students will be. So my kids are 5 and 2. But we've had our nieces and nephews come to visit, who are 7 and 9. And basically Singapore is set up for families and young people. So the facilities they've put in place all throughout the city are absolutely amazing. So it really means that we can go to anywhere in the city and enjoy something. And often there's loads of events being put on all the time as well by Singapore. So you're never bored, there's always something to do. So I think that's a really big attraction for people coming here for a short time to study a language course, or people coming here for a long time, maybe to make it their home. There's something for everyone.
Gotcha. So let's look at it from a context of, let's say, Vietnam and you here in Singapore, right? Why do you think it would be Singapore is a great and good destination for students from Vietnam to come and study English or Mandarin or whatever? What are your thoughts, and why do you think it should be something that they should consider?
So if it was me in Vietnam sending my children, first of all, quick, easy, cheap flight. So I'm like, that's a big box ticked for me. I'm not having to worry about sending them so far around the world. Then, like I mentioned before, Singapore's renowned for being one of the safest places in the world. So I know confidently that my children going to Singapore, coming from Vietnam, they're going to a great place. And then culturally, so there's such an international cultural mix in Singapore, in the school especially. Right now we have about 40 different nationalities of students, but then also when we go out and do our activities, they're going to be mixing with lots and lots of different people from all around the world. So I think to be able to get here so quickly, easily, we don't have to worry about visas and things like that. That's really, really nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, I completely agree with you as well. It's the equivalent of, let's say, a European parent, right? Sending them somewhere in Europe. Quick and easy, just 1 to 2 hour flight. So 100% agree. But let's think about it from a day in the life of a student, right? How does it look like? Because I think a lot of people might think, oh, why should I go to Singapore? It's such a small city or country, right? There's not much to do. I can discover everything in a day, people think, at least, that haven't been here. But let's say if a student is spending 2 weeks in Singapore, what is a day in a life? What can it look like? Can you kind of paint that picture for us?
Yeah, so if you're coming here for a short time, 2-3 weeks, we have two types of student that travel who are under 18. So they might travel in a group. So if they did travel as a group, from the moment they take off in Vietnam, they're being looked after until the moment they land in Singapore. We meet them at the airport. They travel together. They're in accommodation together. They have their classes Monday to Friday in school, but only for part of the day. And then when they're not in class, we have an activity planned for them. So it might be going to the ice cream museum. It might be going to Universal Studios. It might be going to like a tech farm or something like that. But they don't need to worry about being bored. They need to worry about getting enough sleep because they're going to need the energy for everything that happens. And the meals are planned for them and everything like that. So it works really well if you travel as a group. You're action-packed. And then you can also travel as an individual. And that's what we have a lot of students in the school, all from different places, Europe, South America, Asia. They would mix in based on their language level with those students. And then we offer activities outside of class time. So they have lots of choices. It might be things outside, it might be things inside, it might be things in the school. We might just do table tennis tournaments or PS5 competitions, or we might go to one of the big attractions here in Singapore. Or if it's a hot day, we might get the ice cream man to come to the school and everyone can enjoy an ice cream in between classes. So a short-term student coming, it's not so much worrying about what to do, it's do I have enough time and energy to do everything?
I agree with you because I'm here with a group, one of our groups from Vietnam, and we actually went to the ice cream museum yesterday. I'm lactose intolerant, but the ice cream looked so good, so I had to try, and I actually had too much ice cream. But it was worth it, definitely. So I see that, like, and then today we went around the city to Little India to get some cultural immersion as well, try some Indian food. So, like you said, I think for the younger students, right, it's like they need to just make sure that they have as much energy and as much rest as possible because there's plenty of activities to do. Definitely. Awesome. So then, let's say if somebody goes on a trip with EF, we can expect to have half a day in school and half a day like outside doing excursions, and then weekends pretty much going, like you said, going to Universal Studios and kind of going to Sentosa Beach and shopping as well, right? Which is an amazing place to do in Singapore. Outside of those activities, what would you say are the hidden gems in Singapore that, okay, this is something that I think you recommend that everybody should go and try out or to visit?
There's definitely a few hidden gems, but it's hard to keep them hidden. So there's Instagram spots all over Singapore. So our students really love going to seek those out. So whether it's really cool shots like down by the river or Marina Bay Sands, but there's a little secret-ish one in Fort Canning Park. You can walk from the school in 10 minutes, and it's this really deep spiral staircase, really deep down into the ground. You need two of you, because you have to send one right to the bottom. One of you stays half up on the stairs, and you take the photo up with the sky peeking through a hole at the top. So that's a really special sort of hidden gem, I would say. On the food side, I managed to find a Michelin star steamed chicken place in a hawker center recently. And I think it was lesser well known because usually they're in the guidebooks, and I couldn't find this one in the guidebook. So I think that's a hidden gem. And then one of my favorites is taking the hiking trails. There's thousands of kilometers of hiking trails in Singapore. And then when you get in there, you find these cool bridges going through the trees. The monkeys are swinging by, and you see lizards and loads of cool different wildlife. So I think sort of get a little bit lost in nature, and you'll definitely find your own hidden gem.
You have to share the hidden gems that you found, especially the Hoka Center. I love food, so I need to try that out.
Yeah, it's like food paradise in Singapore.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome, but let's chat a little bit about the going back again to kind of the day in the life of a student, right? So, given that the proximity to Vietnam is close and culturally very similar, let's say Vietnam and Singapore compared to the US or Australia, it's a lower barrier of entry and most likely will be actually the first trip for a lot of our students by themselves, ranging from age to 10 to 13, right? Or 15 plus as well. And of course, that also means that some of them are quite shy, right? And then we have a school with hundreds of students. So what would you say that you as a school and the people on the ground are trying to kind of help that and get them more confident and getting them, to make new friends?
Yeah, I think one of the points you mentioned in there, it's, if you are thinking of maybe going to UK or America or Australia, whether it's for study or holiday, Singapore's a great place to start off because when you step off the plane, everything is in English. So that does surprise people sometimes. But again, it's a bit closer to home, nice safe place to start off that journey. But yeah, we have all different students and some of them are definitely shy, first-time travelers. So I do really think a typical day at EF really helps those students. So for example, when you enter the classroom, you're automatically surrounded by other students, similar language level, probably similar to you in some ways. They might feel confident about one thing, but shy or not confident about another. So in the classroom, it's our amazing teachers and their teaching styles that really allow students to build confidence. So we use loads of different materials. We're very production-based, get them to be active, really got to use the language. So working in pairs, working in groups, maybe doing presentations, maybe designing things that they then have to talk about. And it's much easier to talk when you've done something you're interested in and passionate about, you've put some time and energy into it, then you can talk. Sometimes, I remember learning language myself back at home in the UK, French and Spanish. You just have to sort of remember things and say them again. And I think that's really difficult to do. So I think doing these different types of activities in the classroom really helps. And we don't always stay in the classroom. Sometimes the teachers will take students out into the city to use the language. So they might study something in class for an hour, and then at break, we go somewhere in the city. So we might go to a museum. We even go to IKEA, and they have to use the language in IKEA and find things. And then they come back and they might have to talk about the stuff that they did in that location. And then once they're not in class, so let's say they did that in the morning, they go for lunch with their friends just round the corner. Again, it might be 5 nationalities together, so the common language they have to use is the language they're learning. So English, some students come here to learn Mandarin, so it could be Mandarin. And then in the afternoon, they might see an activity on our calendar that they want to join in. So if they then go to that activity, they're going to have to use the language with other people in the city. But then they'll have their friends that they're making with them for support, to help them. They'll have our activity leaders with them who encourage them. And then depending on where they're staying, if they're in a residence, they'll have like residence advisors, so that's our staff as well, who will encourage using the language. Or they might be with a host family. And then that's an environment where, again, maybe it's language they know, maybe it's language they're learning from the host. They get to practice and use the language more. So by the end even of a 2-week journey, sometimes we see some of our students completely change. They leave different people.
I think one story, and I want to pick your brain on this and hear as well, is that something that was super impactful for me, one conversation that I had with a parent, is that she wanted to send her daughter to New York for a 2-week trip because her daughter's been bullied her whole life. And she wanted to send her away so she can see that there's nice people out there, that it's not the people that are just in school bullying her all the time. And that hit me really hard. I was like, wow, what we're doing is so impactful, right? I would never forget that call with that parent, never. So do you have any similar story that you've seen the students here that you also think about? It's like, wow, what we're doing here is super impactful and important, especially in an uncertain world like now.
Yeah, so your stories just made me think of one particular student, actually. She arrived here when she was 15. She turned 16 while she was here, so she celebrated her 16th birthday. She actually stayed longer because some students can stay up to 6 months, 9 months, etc. So she was a bit of a longer-term student. She was from Taiwan. Her name was Yolanda. When she arrived, she was the quietest person I ever met. And at first, I thought it's because she couldn't speak any English. And it turns out her English level was actually not too bad. It's just because she was super shy. She found it really difficult to make friends. And I think she had had a similar experience with other children back in school in Taiwan, like not getting along, maybe some bullying, things like that. So first 2 weeks, quiet, not really making friends, didn't want to join in too much, didn't want to say much in class. But we just kept doing what we do. We kept showing her all the opportunities. Hey, look, we even know you like this because you wrote it on a form before you joined. So we managed to get her to join an activity one day. I think it was like day 10 or something. And she made a friend. And then once she made that friend, she made 2, she made 3, she made 4. And I spoke to her. I was actually her mentor. I spoke to her a few weeks later in our mentor meeting. And already she was talkative, more active, asking me questions. And she actually left last year. She sent us a postcard this year saying she's still thinking about us, she misses us, she wants to come back to see us. And she gave us a little update about what she's doing. So for us, when students remember us like a year after they've left, because we've managed to have that impact, that's what we share amongst the team. That's what we talk about, and that's what drives us when we see those results.
I think these are the things that makes us wake up every day and come to work and doesn't feel like work, right? Because it's having such a big impact on these students. Let's switch it up a little bit and chat about going back to activities again, right? So of course, activities and what let's say a 10-year-old or 13-year-old or 16-year-old, what they are looking forward to and what they enjoy will be very different. But let's say if we break it down into that, right? 16, 13, and 10, what would you say would be the most popular and sought after kind of activities amongst these age groups, in your opinion?
So there's one that transcends all age groups, and I know we've mentioned it already, but it's Sentosa Island and it's Universal Studios. But also on Sentosa Island, we've got like the most amazing water park. So I go there with my children. Our students go there. They love it. And at first we thought that was sort of a age 16 and lower activity. Until one day other students who heard about the younger students going there, they asked us about it as well. So I think there's definitely a few things on Sentosa Island which are, world renowned, and it doesn't matter what age you are. I would say for the younger ones, our 10 years old, they really love being like interactive. They don't want to sit still. So that's why I love Singapore, because some of the things they've built are so interactive. So the Science Museum is like, I'll be honest, I don't really like museums. Okay, I'm good for 20 minutes and then I'm like, okay, that's enough for me. I stayed in the Science Museum for like 2 hours. Every place you go, there's things to touch, things to play with. I even did a virtual flying VR machine. So you lay down flat on your front, the glasses on, and you have wings and you can fly through the sky. So they definitely love doing that. Our 13-year-olds, they're starting to get a bit more independence. They want a little bit more freedom, which again is why I like Singapore, because we can take them to places in the city and say, hey, let's, stay in this area. You can go to there and there and there, but let's meet back here in half an hour, say. So places like that are some of the outdoor parks. Gardens by the Bay is a really good example. There's loads of cool domes and indoor things that you can go and see. But then outside in the Super Tree Grove, where we have the big light show, it's a big space and people want to move around and look at things and see what's going on. So the 13-year-olds start to feel that freedom a little bit, even though they're still supervised. And then our 16-year-olds, sort of the sky's the limit in a way. So we have these really cool adventure parks. So they can do like zip lining and kayaking and rock climbing, and they do them indoor and outdoor. So, if it is too hot, we can do it inside as well.
That's awesome. So I think it's just to kind of package it again. It doesn't matter how old you are. There's activities for everybody and for every age, right? I'm not a museum guy either, but you make me want to go to the Science Museum and check it out. So I'll have to plan that in. Definitely.
5 times since I've been here.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Then it must be good then. That must be good then. That's awesome. So I think in terms of just thinking about the groups themselves and kind of the takeaways. Let's say when students are coming here, doesn't matter how long, right? Let's say 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. But what would you say would be kind of when they are leaving here, what are the kind of positives and what are they like, oh, I'm gonna miss this with Singapore? Is it food? Is it activities? Like, yeah, I'm just curious to hear because you meet so many students on a day-to-day basis, right? So what are their, yeah.
So food is definitely a big one. Like, as you know, to keep people happy, you need to keep them fed and the food needs to be good. So Singapore is just full of so many different cuisines and so delicious. So definitely people fall in love with food here and they definitely miss it. But you can also find a taste from home if you ever want it, which is nice. But honestly, I ask a lot of students this question. And the most common answer is the people. So they say the people that they meet while they're here, the other students, the staff, the activity leaders. In an environment like this, you bond and you make those bonds very quickly. So then when you have to leave, that is a big miss for a lot of students.
So Andy, in this day and age, right, with AI, there's so many tools you can learn English or any language. Same thing, let's say if I'm just looking at it from a Vietnam point of view, we have so many English centers around the country. Mm-hmm. So there's so many ways you can learn English or a language right now. So why should you do it with EF and why should you do it in a different country instead?
Yeah. No, it's good. I think everyone should take every opportunity they can to learn. So for example, I'm doing Duolingo. But the only problem with that is I have to be self-motivated. And then also I wake up the next day and I've forgotten already the word that I used because I'm not in an environment where I have to use it. So coming to the destination, you're being fully immersed. We call it living the language. So it's not just in the classroom that you're fully immersed in that language. It's outside of the classroom. It's in interactions in the hallway with other international students. Maybe you're going to the shop to buy a drink. You have to use that language. So I think the big advantage of going to a destination to learn a language means that it's 24/7. And the power even of 2 weeks, 24/7, I think vastly outweighs, months and months of once a week or half an hour a day or something like that. But more the better.
I'm also guilty as charged with Duolingo. I have a streak of 1,600 days, so it's it's going quite strong. But again, it's not for the purpose for me is to just do the streak, not to learn the language. It's kind of a game for me right now, and the routine. But got it. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like fully immersing in the language is something that you need. An example is like, I'm Vietnamese, but I grew up in Sweden. So I used the language with my parents, but then outside I used it with, Swedish or English or whatnot. Yeah. Then I moved to Vietnam. It's different. I had to use Vietnamese to survive. So completely different, 100% agree. Live the language. Cool. But then, and also now, right, I'm here with one of our groups from Vietnam, kind of just seeing them and kind of accompanying them with activities and classes. And during the activities, I also noticed a lot that there's a lot of other kind of groups here that are not EF groups. And we know that, right? I'm from the sales office in Vietnam. I see a lot of other players coming up, selling summer camps, Lunar New Year camps, etc. So it's a very crowded space, if we put it that way. So parents and students, they have a lot of options. But what would you say is really differentiating us at EF compared to other competitors?
So, exactly, there are other people, in this space, trying to, give these experiences to students to learn a language. I would say the big difference between EF and other people is our investment. We're not just here for summer or winter. We're here permanently, year round, year after year. We just want to open our school up to as many people as we can when they can travel. So usually those shorter trips might come in the summer and winter holidays, things like that. But being here permanently means, our people are invested, they believe in our mission. We constantly are taking on feedback, we're helping each other to improve and be the best we can because we believe in what we do. So I think having our permanent school, like this school's been here for 15 years now in the same spot. We've got teachers who have been with us for over 10 years. So we get to share these expertise and the passion with any students that come to our school. So for us, it's really about a collective group of people who really believe in the same mission.
Absolutely. So I think to maybe wrap this up, Andy, I have one last question to you here. Yeah, I think you might know. But if you had to describe Singapore in 3 emojis, what would it be? Okay, and the kicker to this is that you have to act this out.
Yeah, so I was wondering about this one question, and I've thought long and hard about it. So 3 emojis. So the first emoji, you have to maybe guess what it is. Okay. So imagine I'm standing up, and I go like this. What? No. I'm an object. Okay, that was my really bad attempt at a palm tree. So I did palm tree because there was loads of palm trees, but really it represents how green Singapore is. We're the garden city, and that surprises people when they arrive. There's green everywhere. Okay, next emoji.
Diving? Swimming?
No, I'm trying to be an otter. Okay, I was lying on my back in the water. So we love it in Singapore because there's animals everywhere, just like in the streets, by the harbour, etc. So we always see these families of otters with their babies, and it's super cute, but they represent, I think, the wildlife. So we see monkeys, lizards, snakes, beautiful birds, all sorts of great animals. So yeah, the greenery, the animals. And then my last one has to be...
Monkeys?
That's a lion. Okay, because we're called the Lion City. Singapore has loads of names, even though it's a very small place. So we're the Lion City, so you see the image of the lion everywhere. And people always love to go and see the Malayan statue down by the harbour, and it's shooting water into the bay with this beautiful backdrop. Yeah, so they're my 3 emojis. I was going to do a fire emoji, because I was going to say Singapore is lit, but apparently I can't get away with saying that. I'm too old, apparently. And they said, definitely do not do that one. So even though I've just said it, sorry.
Amazing, Andy. Okay, for charade, I'm 0 out of 3 on that one, and that means that I need to spend more time in Singapore. But amazing. I really appreciate your time sitting here and having a conversation with me. It's been a pleasure, Andy. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you. I've loved it too.
So to all Vietnamese students and parents out there that are thinking about a trip during the summer or during the Tết holiday or any time during the year, please come speak to me. I'm more than happy to help you guys. And I'm sure you will have amazing experience here with my colleague Andy, and I'll let him as well say a few words.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we're here, we're ready, we're waiting. We love meeting new students. Every Monday, new students arrive into the school. It's our favorite day. Loads of people don't like Mondays. We love them, and we can't wait to see you soon here at EF Singapore. See you in Singapore!